Let's see if we are live. I am super excited to talk about this whole sprint and launching and selling in this particular way. So let's see, let's make sure we are good on Facebook. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to, first of all, welcome. I'm going to share this over to my Facebook group. If you're not part of it, it's Network Like the Rich. We'd love to have you in there. This is a very awake and alive group, a lot of interaction. So I wanted to come live to talk about the Rich Networker Mastermind. We've actually had 4 of the 6 spaces already snatched up since last week, but I wanted to come on and talk about it anyway because this is a group that we're going to open 6 spaces every month until we are at 36 people. And so this might be something that's right for you now. It might be something that's right for you later. You might know someone who you could refer to it. So essentially, this entire year, so we're sitting at December 15th, from January, every single month, and sometimes every single week, I have done a promotion for a particular offer, for a particular event, some paid, some free. I mean, I have done the gamut. If you have been around, you've probably seen it. If you're new to me, no problem. I'm going to give you the summary of what this is about and what it taught me and why I'm putting together this mastermind and how it can benefit people if this is a goal, right? So essentially, I love to come on social media. I love to observe people's buying habits, how they're consuming content, what they're acting on, what they're not acting on, what they're buying, what they're not interested in buying. And so this year has been an absolute masterclass on people watching and observing my ideal clients, right? So essentially entrepreneurs, most of my clients are online, and if they have an offline component, they're also online. They're utilizing the internet and social media in some way. And most of them are big relationship people. They're networkers, they're connectors. And so they're cultivating relationships to be able to expand their network and to be able to access new communities through these relationships. So number one, I figured out what people were really interested in buying. And this is the thing is like people are interested in buying so many things, but what I would say is people are so interested in being able to have this ability to sharpen skills that they know immediately affect and impact and give them what they want. And so this is what I mean by this. It's so easy to talk about what we do in a way where it's like, yes, that's good, but it's hard for people to understand that is directly connected to you getting what you want. This is the thing, right? This domino knocks that over. And so what I practiced and what I got really good at with myself and my clients is let's strip down all of the messaging and all of the words and all of the communication. That's nice, it's good. It's not like it's not beneficial. But at the end of the day, do you know what they want? And does this directly correlate to what they want? And if it does, how so? And if it doesn't, no need to really talk about it. What I would say is the type of communication that's working really well right now is this very direct, specific, just show me the connection this has to what I want. So, number one, we have to be able to identify what our clients want. Yeah, not a big surprise, right? Anyone who can identify that is probably going to be very okay. I mean, there's other steps, but that is central. You have to know what your clients really want, and they don't usually want the things you think they want or the things you want them to want. Yeah. There's so many business owners, and the ones I think that struggled the most this year are the ones who wanted their clients to want something, but they don't actually want it. So being able to get honest and understand what your clientele actually wants and then help them get the clearest path there. They're probably going to get a lot of extra benefits, but talking about that isn't going to help you or them. Let them get the extra benefits. Let them get all those extra goodies, but we don't have to talk about it. So the other thing that I observed this year is that if you are willing to light your hair on fire and get really passionate about what you're up to, people will pay attention. But if you have a lot of question marks sort of hanging over your head, and if you're casual in any way, and if it's like, well, I'm doing this, it's kind of a nice thing, it doesn't really matter to me. If that's sort of the attitude, it's like people will move on, right? They need to feel like this all in from you before they're going to even consider going anywhere with you. So what I did in this series of launches and promotions, and launches isn't even a word that I typically use, but what I found this year is that if I could identify what they wanted, and if I could find the clearest, straightest path to what they wanted, and I could talk about that for a certain period of time, a high intensity for a short period of time, with all of the good reasons to say yes now and not later, because human beings love to do things later. For some reason, somehow later is going to be easier, better, and cheaper, when in fact it's always, harder, more expensive, and even harder to say yes to, right? So if I could do this over and over again, what it did is it created this avalanche in the best way. It is like it picked up steam every time. And initially, the intention was to bring in 30 people or more into whatever it was I was doing. I mean, I remember in July, I just got this idea that I was going to host a networking event. It was free. There was no opt-in. It was nothing. I just announced it on social media. It was like, here's the Zoom link. Come if you're free, right? And I want to say about 50 people came to that, right? So the intention was 30. I have 50 people. I don't have their email address. I don't have any money from them, but it was just, I did so many things just to see if I could get a group of people to say yes in a short window of time for a very specific reason. I at least knew why they were there, and I knew what they wanted more of. And so every time I did this, I would have conversations with them. I'd assess what else they wanted more of, and I just keep building on it. So I did this with so many different programs and courses, and what I found is honestly hitting 30 was the hardest. I remember the day that I had 8 into a program and I wanted 30, and I really had felt like in my mind was like, I've done everything. I don't know how else to talk about this. I don't know what else to say, like get in or get out, right? And I began to look at all the things that I was afraid of. Now, I was not consciously afraid of them, right? But it comes back down to the classics, the fear of rejection, right? The fear of putting yourself even further out there, the fear of that personal invitation. So I began to work through all these things. Like I'm working myself through this, right? Going through all the things that are coming to my mind. Because when you are like on fire about what you do, and when you know what you do is helpful, and when you know it makes a difference, then really the big thing isn't how am I going to get people to buy it. The big thing is how am I going to get so completely out of my own way that there's this clear path for people to be able to come into what I'm doing. That's really what this comes down to, right? And so I would take notes and I'd figure out, okay, these things work really well. And the things that worked the most well were the things that were the most scary. That I would say 99% of people do not do in their business ever, much less every single day. And so I grew this, little list of things that I was going to do. And then, the 30 wasn't a problem, and then the 50 wasn't a problem, and then the 100. And then I think in the last 30 days, I'm at about, I don't know, 140 clients, right? 140 payment notifications. And so what I realize is I have these wonderful people I've been networking with. I have, women who actually were in the first round of Rich Networker, where we utilize all of the things that we have in our toolbox: relationships, connections, social media platforms, email lists. And if you don't have one of the things, no big deal, right? We've got so many things in the toolbox that we can utilize. And how do we really utilize all this so that we move things forward quickly? I'm not a person who likes long, extended periods of time of high intensity. I like high intensity and I like to take a nap. I like high intensity and I like to take 2 days off, right? And so how do I help others through this? So I've done so many experiments with clients, and what I can tell you is it's working amazing, right? It's not just like, oh, it worked for me and it worked for one other person and then it didn't work for anyone else. It works across the board, because what we're able to do is to take ourselves to 100% wholehearted all in, and then look at the key components that are working in terms of sales and marketing, and then look at the relationships that can bolster all the above. And when all of this comes together, it's exciting, it's fun, it's fast, it's boom, right? Because I'll tell you what's not fun, and you can probably agree with this, is promoting something for like 30 days and no one buys it, or 3 people buy it when you wanted 20 people to buy it. That's no fun, right? No one wants that feeling ever again. Talk about like punch in the gut. But when you have many people moving toward you and many people saying yes, and then you know how to take that yes and take them into the next step. And this is the other thing I observed is most of my clients, even when they were getting sales, they were not upselling people quickly enough. They were not looking at what else they needed, what other goals that they had, where else they needed support, and invite them into it. The worst thing that we can do right now is be like, well, they know what I offer, and if they want it, they'll get it. That's not a good strategy at all right now. So essentially, this is what this is. So I had a group of women who helped me create all of the foundational criteria and curriculum, the frameworks and the teaching for Rich Networker, where it's like we're really utilizing all of the things I talked about here. And I thought, how can I make this super dynamic in 2026? So I decided to make this a year-long thing. You pay the fee, you're in for the year. And how can we kick it off like, fire sign style? And so we're entering a universal year one, which means like you don't waste time. You don't like sleep through the new year and, kind of kick into third gear about January 17th. It's not a good idea, right? It's like time to hit it. Get your rest in, go get your naps in, go do your thing, because January 1st, it's like, boom, put your running shoes on. We are sprinting. So from January 1st to January 30th, you'll find I like threes. So I can't really end on the 31st. I know that there's 31 days in January. It's just not my number. So from January 1st to January 30th, I am going to walk everyone in this mastermind through the types of promotions and launches that I've done this year. I mean, to minute detail. I will be showing everything, the messages I send. I'm going to help them write the messages, the positioning on the offers, what is said in these conversations. I mean, not in like a general overview. I mean the nitty gritty, because it's in the details. And I'm going to tell you this. It is in the details. I know for a fact that when I look at people's DMs and I tweak it, it changes the outcome. It changes from like crickets to, yes, please send me the link. And the reason I know this is because I have so much data. I have sent so many emails, so many messages, done so many posts on social media, had so many conversations. I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt what works really well, what doesn't work that well. And there's no need to do that. So in this beginning of the year sprint, it is literally going to be, this is your offer, these are the steps, and we're going to walk it out in real time. There's going to be the usual calls, there's weekly calls, but honestly, that's only part of it. It is this daily interaction in the group of being able to stay on track so that you can know what it feels like to get this burst of clients in a short period of time, and then know what to do next to keep building on that momentum. Unfortunately, what most people do in business, they have this rock and they're trying to push it up a hill, trying to push it up a mountain, and they get a certain point and then the thing rolls back on top of them. And even when they get it to the top, then they don't know what to do to get it to go again. And so then it rolls back down, or then they don't do anything for 2 or 3 months because they have no clear direction and they're not sure if what they're doing is the right thing to do. And they have these stalls and starts and stops that makes everything feel that much harder and leaves the audience and the clients wondering what's going on. So this is what you need. You need to have a business, you need to have an offer, and you need to have running shoes. And if you have those three things, then I would love for you to come into the Rich Networker Mastermind. All of the, course and all of that content is in there. There's weekly calls, there's all the things, but there's this workshopping on the components for you. This isn't a one size fits all. Your messaging in the DMs is going to be very different than Lisa's and Becky's and Bob's. We're going to make sure that you have a plan. And here's the beauty of it. We're going to lay the tracks in January, and then you can keep this going in February, March, and April. And then if you wake up in April and you're like, hey, I have this other thing, or I want to do this, and we tweak it and we modify it, we're going to be together for the whole year. It's a 1 year, it's a fire horse year. If this isn't the year to make big things happen, to have a huge harvest, to make giant leaps forward, I don't know what year it will be. There's not going to be a year like this for a while. Leverage it. That's what I'm going to do. And I am going to run with every single person who wants to come in and run. I'll put the link here. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a private message. I'm happy to answer questions that are specific to you, your industry, your business, your offer. I will be available. This pricing. So this is how I'm just being straight up about how I'm doing it, right? This pricing expires on the 18th. It's $1,000 for the year. And then when I open it back up in January for 6 more people, it'll go up to 1,500, and then I'll close it. And then in February, I'll open it up at 2,000, so on and so forth. So I will open it up on the 12th of each month for probably a week, bring in 6 people, and keep on trucking until we get to 36 people. And then that will be the group. Like I already said, you can wait. You can totally wait. But I encourage you to jump in. If you already know you want to do it, waiting is only just going to delay the inevitable, which in this case, you don't want to delay because it just means more clients now. All right. I shall talk to you soon. I got to figure out where my button is. And like I said, if you have any questions, send me a message in the DMs and we will cover it there. See you inside.